Hello and welcome to Cyber Threat Thursday. I'm Kristin Judge with the Cybercrime Support Network. I am so honored to have my guest here today. And I have to say from the very beginning that Comcast was the first company that supported Cybercrime Support Network back in 2017. They saw the vision of what the public needs to be more secure. And so having this discussion today is just going to make it even more special for me. So I'm going to ask our guest to introduce himself, and then we'll get right into some questions. Sure. Remko.
Yeah, hey, Kristin, thanks for having me on your show. So my name is Remko Vos. I am an Executive Director of Product Management at Comcast. At Comcast, I'm responsible for what we call Internet Safety, which is a combination of all the security products, all the privacy products, as well as all the parental control products that we offer to our broadband customers.
So you have been busy.
I've been busy. It is definitely it's a big area. It's a growing area, as you know. We will talk about more in this show. We've been very active in this area as well as from a Comcast perspective. So,
yeah, well, thank you for taking the lead on this issue at Comcast. Because I know there are millions of people, especially in Michigan, including myself, who use your product, and we need the help. And security has been so many times where people had to opt in and pay extra for it, depending on what service you have. And I appreciate that Comcast is really looking to, make security just part of what we do. This is what we've been talking about. We need from companies for so long now. So we're going to talk today a lot about the Xfinity xFi Advanced Security System. Would you tell us a little bit about, start with where you came up with this idea and how it's evolved over time?
Sure. Yeah. So, security obviously is a big domain, and a few years ago we realized that while there were very good security solutions for laptops and mobile devices, essentially, the device landscape inside the home was changing with the entrance of a lot of new IoT devices, whether they're cameras, thermostats, doorbells, anything nowadays that you put in your home has a Wi-Fi chip associated to it. And so we realized that sort of with all those new devices comes a new security threat. And so from a Comcast perspective, we wanted to make sure that our customers are protected against any cyber security issues that may be out there on the internet targeting those specific devices. So the idea was really sort of to come up with a whole new concept around cybersecurity for inside the home. And that's how Advanced Security got started.
Thank you. And I know, we have AT&T, Comcast, Verizon, all have been working with us, Google and Microsoft. Competitors are coming together around security. And so do you work with other ISPs and, help them also and share information?
Yeah, it's actually interesting to sort of see, like, I think as an ISP, we were one of the early sort of providers of a security solution like Advanced Security, like what we have. But have had many conversations with ISPs, both inside the US as well as actually throughout the world, who are looking at us and are sort of trying to figure out how they can offer similar solutions. I think all of the ISPs are realizing that this is a need in the market, and quite frankly, something that our customers look at us to sort of address this problem of security in their environment, and the other ISPs see that same sort of trend happening.
Sure. If people have a problem on the internet, they think, okay, wait, who's giving me my internet? Maybe that's where the problem is. But especially with cybercrime, it has nothing to do with your ISP provider. It has to do with what the users are doing, unfortunately, and what the criminals are trying to do. So tell us a little bit about how does it work? How does Advanced Security work, and how would it keep people safer?
So Advanced Security, as a solution, it's built into the gateway that customers can lease from Comcast. So to be able to use Advanced Security, you need to lease one of the Comcast gateways, and then use the Xfinity app that we have to manage those gateways. But if you have that sort of in place, what Advanced Security does is it monitors all the traffic that is generated by all the devices in the home as it flows through the gateways, and it picks up on any suspicious traffic. And that suspicious traffic could be coming from your laptop, you're browsing, and you go to a website where we think like, oh wait, that's a phishing website. We know that to be a phishing website, so you better not go there. And we issue that warning to you, and we stop you from going there. It could also be your camera that all of a sudden reaches out to a server somewhere across the world where it has no business going there, and sort of we say like, well, that is not a server where this camera should go to, and so we block that connection. So it really looks at the traffic, tries to filter out what's suspicious, and then act on that suspicious traffic.
Yeah, and that's great, because it's really hard to tell. These criminals are putting up fake websites and things that look very real. So from the naked eye of the person who doesn't work in technology, or even someone who does, it's not always easy for us to recognize it. So having that extra help from advanced security really is going to put us in a safer place.
Yeah, and it's a complex domain, because when you talk, for example, about malicious websites, those often exist only for hours or a day at max, and then once they have been identified as being malicious, the owners of the website take it down and set up something new. So it's a very dynamic market that really, sort of, unless you have sort of a powerful solution like we have, which is sort of driven by AI that quickly picks up on any of those new websites, it's very hard to address this problem.
Yeah, I was wondering, so how much does AI and the advanced technology that we have now allow something like this, where even 5 years ago it probably didn't, right? You couldn't put this together.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think AI is a very big component of the solution that we offer, and what I just said, it really allows us to look at sort of every URL that our customers are visiting, every domain that our customers are going to. And even if we have never seen it, we can make a very quick assessment in sort of a time frame of milliseconds whether we believe that is a malicious site or if it's okay for you to go there. And that is all driven by AI. Really, sort of, we take in a lot of signals from that URL information about the site that you're trying to visit, and we process that, and we put it in the category of like, no, this is good to go, or like, well, we're not a bit worried about this. Almost like, when you're trying to cross a street, you look around you, you see the traffic, and you say, well, that car's a little bit fast, let me wait for a second here. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of that same type of you're taking information in, and it isn't necessarily a definitive conclusion that you reach right there, right then, but it gives you reason to pause, and that's how AI works for advanced security.
That's great. So the technology is sort of looking at things for us in a suspicious way, in a good way, making sure, does that look safe? Yeah. And so, just how I have internet in my home, and I have cable TV, and so I get a box, the modem and the router, and so that's how I lease that box, and that allows me to get the services. So is that how the xFi gateway works also?
Yeah, the xFi gateway is the modem that you plug your coaxial cable into, and that gives you your Wi-Fi signal inside the home.
Okay, great. All right. And then you go to your app and you enable it. And so any customer can just log into that and then have a more safer experience of going around the internet, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, Kristin, this is like one of the big things that we try to achieve with advanced security, is to make it exactly as simple as you just sort of outline it. Like, there were solutions and still are solutions on the market that sort of operate outside of the gateway. The challenge there is that you need to buy an additional box. You need to plug that box into the wall, connect it to your gateway, reconfigure your gateway or your router to work with that security solution, and that is a complex process that, quite frankly, is just not accessible to everyone. And what we wanted to do is make sure that we have a security solution that really sort of is available for everyone, irrespective of your understanding of security, irrespective of your understanding of technology, quite frankly. So that's why it's so simple. We put a lot of effort building that solution into the gateway and into the app, so that from an end user perspective, it is as easy as just opening up the app, and that protects every device in my home.
And if we don't continue to make security that simple, people are not going to adopt it. I mean, it's really important. I'm so glad that you're doing that, because I've spent so many years going around the country educating small businesses, consumers about cybersecurity, and they just say to me at the end, okay, can you put that on my phone now, or can you give me a checklist of what I should buy? We work in this industry all day long, so to us it doesn't seem like that big a deal, but even adding two-factor to someone's email account can be really intimidating. So if
Right.
you don't make it simple enough as press the button and we're providing more security for you, I don't think people are going to adopt it as much as they need to. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of the challenges with security is that many of the security solutions introduce friction in the form of steps that you have to take and complexity that you need to master, essentially. And that's a barrier to entry. Two-factor authentication is an example that even the use of passwords, lots of people reuse their passwords. It's a security risk. Everybody knows that. Yet, it's hard to get away from that because it is harder to come up with new passwords every time you need to enter one. And so again, I think it's something that is very important, I think, for the security industry overall, is to not just think about like how do you secure a customer, but also how do you make that solution accessible to those users. And sort of with us being focused on a consumer market rather than an enterprise market, which is where obviously a lot of security solutions are focused, I think that sort of really sort of made us one of the first companies to really have to go through that challenge. And I think we there are things we can improve, but I think we did well coming through that.
Yeah, and I think in the beginning, the companies just thought about, okay, on the back end for the company, how do we keep our perimeters all secure? But now there's a lot more discussion, and I wonder, does work from home have anything to do with the fact that we're focusing more on customers as an industry, not Comcast specific?
Oh, I think so. I mean, it's the working from home has changed the dynamics and again, with an eye on the security market, it has all of a sudden changed the landscape completely. We built all these big walls around our offices and our enterprises, and now everybody is at home trying to get access. And if your home isn't secure, your enterprise isn't secure. And so I think, obviously it's entirely unintended, and I wish we did not have to work from home, but we are where we are, and I think advanced security is helping out significantly in this situation.
Yeah, so the timing for advanced security could not be better. I think that's really important. Yeah. And I think there will be many more companies looking at this, how to protect those endpoints that are away from an office or away from, the working network, because now we also have sixth graders, doing sixth grade school in our house. We've got the spouses working from home, and there's a lot of things happening in the home right now that weren't happening even 7 months ago now. So we're going to have to start changing our security thought process, I think. And it seems like you're ahead of the game.
Yeah, well, we're certainly trying to stay ahead of the curve that we're seeing. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and making it simple, utilizing AI. I mean, AI is a tremendous tool for good things also. I know, if you watch the Terminator movies and all, you can be turned off by AI, but boy, when you embrace it as a security team, it can really move us forward. I was just talking about, source solutions and how AI is just going to help people that have to focus on the security, that those rote tasks can really be taken away. And so, you're really helping to free up the time of people who are working on security by using AI. Your thoughts on AI for good?
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely right. And I think the velocity of new threats as they occur into the network, they go and new sort of whole new threat factors that open up with challenges that we haven't seen before. I think it's impossible for a human to respond to that because it changes too quickly. And so that's where you need to have the support of computers, quite frankly, and that's what AI allows us to do. It also, and I probably should have added at the beginning, but like it allows us to look at a variety of different characteristics of sort of the internet traffic that is generated in your home. And so we don't have to look at the actual data that customers send. So from a privacy perspective, we don't have to look at the data that you, Kristin, send through that internet. We just look at like where you're trying to go and what do we think about that site, or I think that the essence there is AI also allows us to preserve privacy of users, which obviously is very important.
Yeah, very important, and I think that's what the consumer really appreciates also. And so I want to talk a little bit about what the types of threats you're seeing moving forward and now. But is there anything else about the genesis of advanced security, or how you came up with it? Anything else we need to cover on the backside of before we talk about the now?
No, I think this that's good.
Okay, we covered good. So I want to make sure we covered enough. And so now let's talk about, people are starting to have this in place. And are there things that you're seeing that are going to help you even make the product more robust, and that you can share with the greater community so that we can all be fighting that same adversary?
Yeah, I mean, like, one of the fundamental things is, the more customers we have, the more users we have, the more input we get into our system, and that allows our system to learn. And so it is sort of having now millions of users that gives us a tremendous amount of information that we use to make our system better and better and better. That expresses itself in every. We protect the user in a number of different ways, and each of those protection mechanisms improves with the number of customers that we're seeing, with the number of devices that we're protecting.
Yeah. Are you able to look at the types of threats? Is this the kind of thing that's going to be able to see what's out there down the road, or is it really just doing the blocking and tackling without being able to predict?
No. So we do understand, like, the type of threats that occur on a person's gateway. And what we can see, for example, is that during COVID, and I think this has come up in earlier episodes of your show as well, is like we've seen the number of phishing threats go up. So now when people are browsing the internet on their devices, there is an increased number of threads that we're blocking that try to lure people into giving away personal information. And so we can definitely see those trends and change essentially as a result of the pandemic.
So important, and everyone else is going to be safer the more information we share like this, because if I'm being phished, my neighbor's being phished too. And if you can see those patterns, because we're all utilizing a security tool, and stop more of that, that's really what it's going to take. We need more information. I work a lot on the international discussions about information sharing when it comes to cybercrime and cyber threats. And until we all come together and see what's happening, we're not going to be able to necessarily pinpoint how to stop these people. So I think it's so important that you're gathering some data that's going to help us be even more robust in our security moving forward.
Yeah. It's a system that sort of feeds itself, and that's the power of AI in some ways as well.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So what advice would you give to customers to ensure they're staying protected as we head into the holidays?
Well, obviously, for everybody who is a Comcast customer, broadband customer, and has the xFi gateway, make sure that advanced security is on your gateway. But I would also say that there is not a single security solution that provides full protection against any type of threat. So where you have devices, for example, laptops or mobile devices, where there is an antivirus solution, by all means use that as well, and sort of so think of a security as a multi-layered defense where all those components add to keep you more secure. But I also think that it's important for people to not just think about sort of those type of defensive mechanisms, but also think about what I brought up earlier already: passwords that you're using. 60% of the people, as a stat I read somewhere, people reuses passwords across different sites. If one of those sites, if information of one of those sites is leaked and becomes available to cyber criminals, they now have the tools to access every site that you reuse that password, and there's nothing that we can do with our solution to protect you against that. So really urge people to think about password management as another tool of protecting them, their information. And
I've been watching the password lists, the top 10 password lists over the past 10 years or so. And password and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are still the top passwords. From a security, we'll talk a little bit and sort of, just sort of geek out on this for a minute. Do you think we're ever going to be without passwords eventually? Where are we going to be going on this authentication and login? Any thoughts on that?
Yes. So I think this is certainly my personal opinion. So it's actually something that we are looking at a lot at Comcast as well within my organization. Because we do believe that password, we talked about friction earlier, they do introduce friction, especially when you need to have a new password for every site. So I think there will be a future without passwords, but I don't think anybody has really cracked the nut on that just yet. But we will get there. That process will get more and more simple. You already have initiatives, log in with Apple, log in with Facebook, that would simplify that process to some extent. There are downsides to that as well, and so I think we're trying to get to a mechanism where you don't need the password, you don't need to give up your privacy to do that. So.
Yeah, you can see a lot of efforts going on simultaneously, and I've worked many times with the FIDO Alliance. There's great ideas coming out, but I think that some of them are a little bit too technical. You talk about the term friction. We got to talk about my mom and dad using something, and exactly. They're in their late 70s and didn't grow up on computers. They're certainly savvy, but I want to make sure there's things that they can use without having to have that friction. But I sometimes think back on the whole friction issue, and when I was teaching people around the country about two-factor authentication 7-8 years ago, it was a little bit more friction than it is today. I think the companies have done a great job of making it almost frictionless.
Yeah.
And I think that the friction of being a cybercrime victim is something people want even more protection from. So I've been trying to, talk out there wherever I get a platform to say, look, the companies, I want to do research with somebody that says, ask the public, would you rather have the friction of two-factor authentication, or would you rather have the friction of, being a victim and having to clean up your identity for a year?
Oh,
so, I think we're getting to a point, just on two-factor alone, it's gotten so much easier to use. You don't have to put it in every time. As long as you're on the same computer, you can use a code on your phone that's so simple, or just like Gmail makes it so now I just have to log in on my Gmail, press the app on my phone, and I go in. I don't have to have a code. So it's gotten a lot less difficult, I think. Would you agree that we're getting less friction in two-factor?
Absolutely, and I think the use of biometric information is a great example of sort of helping that process forward. I think that's you're absolutely right. It has become a lot better, and I think the more layers of the friction we can remove anywhere, the easier it is for people to secure themselves.
Yeah, and I think my 20-something kids, they love the iPhone where they just put it up and their face opens it up for them. I mean, they want they want very little friction growing up in in the digital age.
And quite frankly, it's rightly so. I mean, that's I think as a technology industry, I think that's what we should aim for. Is that the solution only works when it's entirely transparent and seamless for users. They can use the technology that they want without having to think about it too much.
But I hear so many companies talk about that, but Comcast is actually doing it thanks to your work with the advanced security. And I really appreciate that, because we have to make security easy and effective, and using AI in your advanced security program is going to make it effective. So just sort of leave us with, if someone is a Comcast customer or wants to be, how are they going to be more secure with advanced security, and what do they have to do to make sure they have it in place?
So to start with the last question, what they need to do to have it in place, you need to have a Comcast leased gateway, xFi gateway, and you need to use the Xfinity app to interact with that gateway. The app itself has lots of useful tools to manage your home network and to see information about what's going on from a security perspective. But to enable it, that's all you need to do. And then what it does is it protects every device inside your home, whether it's connected through an Ethernet cable or connected through Wi-Fi. You don't have to worry about those devices anymore from a security perspective. We're watching it day and night to make sure that they don't inadvertently end up on a phishing website or start sharing your personal information with some remote malicious server elsewhere outside of the home. So
and the xFi gateway actually looks nice too. It's pretty.
Yeah,
looks nice on our desk.
Yeah. Work making it look better than what it used to be. Yes.
Yes. I didn't mind the tall black one, but this one looks pretty cool. So a little bit more blending in with the room. But thank you.
Absolutely.
So it's just Remko, thank you for taking time to be with us and share your expertise with the audience. We really appreciate all the work you're doing, helping us to be safer, because we're all in this together. We have the same adversaries, and every company needs to step up and do their part. And I really appreciate you also supporting the millions of victims that we serve by being a sponsor of CSN. So thank you for that. And we hope to have you back on another time so we can keep talking about the advances and the threats that you're seeing.
Yeah, love that, Kristin. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you.